let's go ahead and just dive into it. I know we're running a few minutes behind, but I'm Jasmine P. Green. I'm a millionaire mindset, sales, and business mentor, and I work with high-performing online entrepreneurs to create 6- and 7-figure monthly receipts in their coaching businesses, their service providing businesses, and with their courses. But today isn't about me. We have a powerful group of ladies, as I mentioned. We have Arshel, we have B, and we have Jess, and they're going to be sharing with you guys some incredible points to building a brand, because it is the most important. But before we dive into the discussion with our panelists, I want to let you know that all three of them have been generous enough to put together a giveaway packed with goodies from their companies, from Bombshell, the Honey Pot Co., and Re-Ink. And the way to enter to win is very simple, guys. At any point during this discussion, if a question pops up for you, go ahead and enter it into the chat. We'll be having time at the end for a brief Q&A. And at the end, one of you guys will be entered to win the giveaway. All right. So Arshel, since you are up, and real quick, guys, B from the Honey Pot Co., she's having a bit of technical difficulty, so she'll be jumping in here with us. We're going to hold space for that, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Arshel, would you mind introducing yourself, your company, and your top brand values, please?
Okay, so hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining. My name is Arshel Bernard. I am the HBIC, which is head bombshell in charge of Bombshell, which started off as an ethical African fashion wonderland based in Monrovia, where we have a factory and a boutique. And now we have just opened Bombshell in October in Atlanta's Pond City Market. So this is our second storefront location. And basically my life mission is to make sure that as global fashion grows, that African women get their share and their say in global fashion, in the spread of global fashion, and also that everybody feels welcome wearing African pieces. So I opened my company after Ebola, and it's just been amazing watching how women's lives can really transform through tradition and through fashion. So that's me.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. I cannot wait to get into more of your story and ask you the questions I have coming down the line. So Jess, would you mind introducing yourself and introduce your company and your top brand values?
Yeah, it's so great to be here with this amazing community. I see some familiar faces in the audience. And then with Arshel, I was telling her the other day, I need her birthday suit. So that's definitely on my wish list. She has an amazing, amazing company. And also with you, Jasmine, I just need your 6-figure services in my life. So it's incredible to be here with you all. So Re-Ink is a really different type of company. We were founded by 4 women, 4 champions from the U.S. women's soccer team who have been equity fighters really around the pay gap, the gender pay gap, and helping close that. And they founded the company with their life mission, which was all about reimagining the status quo and all they do. And I met them early on through Deepak Chopra. And their mission is true to my own, just in that I work with purpose-driven founders to help bring new ideas to life. So I'm the Chief Brand and Experience Officer. And Re-Ink, we're a business that offers content, collections, and community experience through our membership, which is a space for social change. And our collections are all locally made in the tri-state area, organic cotton or recycled content, and really offer a template for self-expression. So I'm super excited to be here with y'all.
Wow, we are, I think all of us are elated to share the stage with one another. Both of you ladies, and as well as B, I know, like I said, she's having some tech issues Oh, speaking of her, she has officially jumped in. I am so excited about that. But guys, we are all so excited to share the stage with one another. We can learn so much from each other as well as give so much value to those who are watching in. So B, I know you just came in. If you can unmute yourself, so happy to see you here. It's your turn to intro yourself. So tell us about your company and your top brand values. You're on mute. Yeah, hit that little microphone. Let's see.
Oh no.
So guys, let me tell you one thing about it. I am I am her number one fan. I don't know if she knows it or not, but I am her definite number one fan. I can introduce her like probably better than she can. But B is the founder of the Honey Pot Co. And she has put together a line of feminine hygiene products that actually work. You know, we see the different monostats on the counter. We see the different, all the always, right? But B has an incredible story, and I can't wait for her to come off of mute so she can tell you. But she has founded a very impactful feminine hygiene company that if you haven't tried it, you are missing out. All right. So Allison or Julie, someone, if you guys could help B navigate the mic, we must hear from her. All right, she's that dope. So we're going to just go into the questions with Jess. All right, Jess, we're going to kick it off with you. A huge part of Re-Ink's success is because the company is so rooted in the why. Can you tell us the process behind finding your why and how you infuse it into your brand identity?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think just talking about why, you know, so often business or brands really focus on the what and the how. But really the first step in starting any brand is starting with why. And why is your purpose. It's what you are here to do and how you're going to do it differently. And so a big part of when we were forming the company 2 years ago were work sessions in which before we even thought about, we should be making this, or, there's this community that needs us. We really started with, why are we here on this planet? You know, what is it that we can offer? And why, like, what is that change that we want to see happen in the world? So that all comes from this place of your essence and why you exist. So our purpose is to boldly reimagine the status quo, championing equity, progress, creativity, and art. And we really believe that, we're living this phenomenal moment of social change. Mm-hmm. And to make that happen, it can't just be through legal actions. It also has to be through creative actions. And if I think about a lot of the social impact oriented folks that really inspire me, and I think our whole company feels this way, they're artists as much as they are activists. And so we really bring those two things together. And the other part of our why that we're chatting about the other day is when our founders, Kristen Press, Megan Rapinoe, Meg Klingenberg, and Tobin Heath, these 4 women that are just, so well known for their incredible work today, when they were starting off as young soccer players on little mom and pop soccer leagues, there was no U.S. women's soccer team in the way that it is today. Women were not being paid to play elite soccer. It wasn't seen as something that was on the same plane with any sports. And of course, female sports in general are still so far behind, even though female athletes are some of America's greatest athletes in terms of pay. They're just far behind. So they had to, in every step of their life, reimagine that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And then as queer women, as women of color, really had to step into that and say, okay, we don't see ourselves, but we deserve to be here. And so that is so much of what is rooted in Re-Ink. It's like, we deserve to be here. we don't see the future, but we're actually going to help make it. And so our why is about doing that in everything we create as a company, and then inspiring other people to do that.
Wow. Wow. I love that. So would you say that you started with a clear mission and values first? Because to me, it sounds like you went into this knowing the identity, or if not knowing it, at least knowing the fibers of what would make it up. So would you say you started with that, or did you start with the product first to build your mission and values?
We really started with the why and with the mission. And then we looked into, because we kind of saw like there were so many opportunities. And I think a lot of times when folks are thinking about starting a business, they're just thinking about a white space. Mm-hmm. But really, there's just we had this why. And actually, if I look at like, I can't wait for Arshel and B to share, because they both started with why too. You know, it was something that was born out of their personal identity, and then became a company. I had the good fortune of working with folks before I was at Reinc who were super close with Steve Jobs. They were Steve Jobs' inner circle. And so that's kind of who I came up with. And something that I always learned from them is this idea of create something that is based in the world that you want to see, not necessarily what people are asking for today. And that is, I think, so much of what's rooted in Reinc too. It's that sort of like pioneering mindset of like, what is possible? What could we do? Plus a humanity mindset. So there's lots we could do. We could go to the moon, but we have to do what's best for humanity and really start from that place.
100%. And what I think is so special about all of you and even myself is that we are so focused and centered on that why. You know, why even Arshel, do you have anything? I just want to give you a chance to say anything about that, because what you said in your introduction, it spoke volumes. So I would love to hear from you if you have anything you'd like to add to that.
You know, when I moved to Liberia in 2011, my goal was to be the West African Oprah Winfrey. This was like the big goal, right? Yeah. And so for me, when I got there, I was making the African clothing just so that I would have something to wear when I would do like host my little shows. But I think that when I got to Liberia and I realized there was not as much of a need or desire for lifestyle entertainment news, I learned that when you walk into these spaces, for me, you have to listen. Sometimes more than you just come in thinking, I know what everybody needs and I know what my client needs. Listening and paying attention to what your environment actually truly wants will carry you so far. So my why was always to shine light on the women and to give a voice to women who weren't being heard or seen, and to produce something beautiful from a place that is consistently bottom 5 poorest countries in the world, and show the world that we have things that are desirable. That had continuously been my why, and just the how really just shifted, right? It was like people really liked my clothing. And so I started to sell it and I started to make more of it. I would fill up 2 big suitcases and drag them from JFK Airport to ATL Airport to my friends' pop-ups and all of that good stuff, trying to show people that we have beautiful things that are coming from these places you've never heard of or never been able to see. Yeah. So I think that's why the why is so important, is because you never know when the how can shift, and you want to be flexible with that. Yes. You want to be able to move and evolve and be fluid with that, you know? And so, you know, the whys became, that was 2011. And then I opened my boutique, and it was a selfish business for me. I was just like, you know, this cute girl with cute clothes, and I had all these fun friends, and then Ebola happened and we had to shut down the store. So then I was like, I've got to open this factory. And the why became because I want to introduce Liberian women to consistent work. They had, you know, coming off of a war, they had never experienced consistent work. And so we opened up the factory to solve that problem. And then with COVID, we shifted to masks. And it was to show the women also that you really have something that is adaptable. Yes. So can still make money in any economy, no matter what the situation is. I got you, and I'm going to help you find solutions. So I think that it's when you're so rooted in that why, the possibilities are just endless, because as things come up, you'll just continue to evolve and move with them.
100%. I love that so much. Guys, if whoever's listening right now, if you're in the very starting stages, this is something that it's worthwhile to take time to sit in and really get clear on, because the women that are on this stage, they're extremely successful, and they all have this one thing in common. They were uber clear on their why. B, if you're able to come off mute, I'd love to hear from you too, if you have anything to share. You can't. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I thought I heard. I was like, oh yes. Okay. God, listen, I know I'm not. I promise you, I'm literally not her spokesperson. But if you go to her website, if you see any of her products, her why is literally on the product. All right. So hopefully we can get her mic worked out, because she has an incredible story as well. But we're gonna keep it going. Back to you, Arshel. From past conversation, you mentioned that Barbie pink and leaning into the feminine is a huge part of your brand palette. We're getting ready, guys, now to start talking about brand colors, because here's the thing. When we are thinking about building a brand, we get hung up on like the small details, like what colors, what fonts. So we're gonna hear from Arshel now to find out exactly how did she come to the decision that pink, right? From what it sounds like, that's a huge part of your brand. Were there any challenges along the way with coming up with that? Did you find yourself getting stuck on that? Can we hear from you about that?
A few things. I know that I'm not a branding girl, right? So I like to find my lane and stay there. But when I see people who do really good work, I want to lean into making sure that they, number one, fully understand me and what I represent, and then can also represent that for a bigger audience. So a friend of mine who had known me from the beginning stages, from when I was selling dresses in a pickup truck, created this logo for me. And it's this bright Barbie pink. And whenever I look to doing brand refreshes, that is always the first thing that anybody wants to change, because it doesn't read West African to them. So to me, it's so important, because I'm so girly, and I think that we are used to, as a society, because there's not much education around what it is to be West African or to be an African woman or to exist post-war or any of this. Because we're so not used to it, we've made up in our own minds what that should look like. And I would like to offer, through my branding and through my product, the opportunity for people to see be all sorts of things. It's not just I'm a West African, the same way it's not you're a woman from California. There's so many other things about you. And so for my brand, we are so feminine, and it's not just strong women who've lived through poverty and war. It is women who like wearing flirty skirts, and women who also maybe like very nice cut pants. But either way, whatever you are, there's something for you here with us. So I love that aspect of my brand. And I also love, we have this, it's a symbol, and we put it on stickers, we put it on magnets, but it's a bunch of different color peace signs, and it's our all are welcome, because I want people to know that no matter where they see themselves on the spectrum of gender, or living throughout the world, or how they feel like they contribute to society, we are trying to make sure that we are helping our clients and potential clients unlearn the stereotypes that they have about West African women, because we're not responsible for those. I don't know where they necessarily came from and how they became law, but I want everybody to know that there's a place in the Bombshell family for them. So we're excited to be a little bit different than what anybody may think of a West African company.
Yeah. Wow. So would you say, because it sounds like that was it just stuck with you. So would you say that you just kind of went inside and just, went with what you felt, or did you take any advice from anybody else as to like how you should brand yourself?
For me, I just feel so girly, right? But at the same time, there are lots of things that I do that would not be considered the most feminine. Like when I go to Liberia, if we don't have running water, I know how to make a bath out of a bucket and use that to shower, right? but it doesn't mean that I'm not girly. Like one skill or one hobby does not negate the way that I see myself. And so it really just stuck with me. I really feel like Bombshell, our logo, how bright and splashy it is, like it fits us, you know? And that's what I see more. When I think of West African women, I'm thinking like able to do all the things and bright and bold and able to fit in all these different spaces and bring those sorts of feelings out. So it just stuck with me because I felt like it really represented me and my truth individually.
That is so important. For anybody who's listening, people will have their opinions on what you should do, what should it be. Earlier, I said, really take the time to just sit with yourself and get clear on yourself, because your brand, it really is a reflection of you, you know? So a lot of times we can get excited about taking the product to market or launching the thing, and we can skip past these important aspects of it. But the more you can really just spend time with self and get clear on that, listen to you, be attuned to you, the better. You know, you see these women on the stage right now, Be included, although she's no longer with us. They had to go inward to get the clarity that you guys see, you know, today. So that's incredible, Arshel. What about you, Jess? Do you have anything you want to add in terms of how did you, because you have such a full background in terms of like your mission and the values about what it is that you've created. So how did you come up with your branding?
Well, before I say, I just want to plus one so much of what Arshel just said. I think part of what she's talking about is the sort of like binary concept of you're either this or you're that. And that can apply to personal identity. And I think it can also apply to brand identity. But I think for so many of us, we're saying actually what you think I am because I'm into, you know, dressing really girly and cute does not equal who I completely am. And I think, you know, just thinking about the fact that most of the leaders here identify as female, or women, like that's something that we're up against. And that's something that I'm constantly fighting against. Like, I don't want to either have to decide to be one thing or another to be a leader. I want to be like my feminine self that's often soft and listens and is about bringing other people in and facilitating and kindness and hugs. But that doesn't mean I'm also not strong, you know? And so I think, and I can't like take a shower in a bucket. Like I love that example. Like that's so awesome. So I think like, so for, it's just so great to hear. And I just want to plus one that both personally and professionally. And then in terms of our brand identity, I actually think a lot of what Arshel just said rings really true for us, which is our identity. For so long, it was like, you're Coca-Cola, like this is it. And these are the guidelines. And for us, our guidelines are more about our mission and our values. And that is going to change and evolve. So our collections look different. I think we're rooted in this idea of like black and white and like a square, almost as being that is a symbol of everything and nothing. Like it can become so many different identities and so many different things, depending on sort of the story of our current collection. So it took us actually a long time to come up with something that in so many ways is so, can seem so simple. But that sort of template gives us this incredible playground.
Yeah.
Be able to and continue to. Yeah. And, like you know, I also think like, oops, sorry. Yeah. Just, it's an incredible playground to explore.
You know, if I could, there's some kind of delay. Arshel, I'm so sorry, Jess. It seems like there's a delay. So it seems on my end that you're done, because I'm just so excited to say what I want to say to both of you, but I don't mean to cut you off. I don't know what's going on, okay? Arshel, do you hear that same delay, or is it just me?
No, I heard it. She was trying to finish, and then you were, and then all that other stuff. But I love everything that she's saying. So I'm like, give me more, give me more.
Yeah, I'm over here.
Same. I know. I'm like, I need to get down to Atlanta, and we need to just hang out because I think
absolutely
our line.
Yeah, I think B sometimes is around there too. So let's find out that all these dynamic women are going to be in Atlanta. We could do Ladies Who Launch Part 2.
Yeah, listen, there's a connecting flight through DFW, and I'm happy to. I'm just saying. But what I got to give you guys your flowers because when I get ready to work with people on my side, and they're not really heart-centered or vision focused, they're talking about revenue. It's a turnoff because although, making money really, that's the easy part. If we're being honest, making money is the easy part, but really being true to self and being able to communicate that and reach the people that you want to reach, that's where the challenges come in at. And I just want to applaud both of you guys for being so intentional about taking the time out to really be people focused, because if we're all in business to build people in our own ways. And so you guys are dope, man, for real, because your message so far, it hasn't been about, well, for you, our show, you could have said, well, Pink, that's what the women want to see, and that's what's going to make the most money. So we're going to roll with that. Your whole thing is really building community. And even you, Jess, you're really focused on people and how to take your own value, what's in your heart, and pour it into them. And in turn, everybody wins. So I just got to give you guys your flowers and be included, guys. It's a shame that she's not on here because she has an incredible story on how she's creating impact in the feminine hygiene market. I mean, there's so much opportunity for you to be true to yourself and dominate your market and become a disruptor like these ladies have. I'm just gonna say it because it's so important to be true to self and I can't say this enough, be clear on your values. So guys, we're gonna go into some group questions, but before I do that, those of you who are watching, remember there's a giveaway, right? Arshelle has Bombshell. She got some dope stuff. Jess has some dope stuff. Honey Pot is really the plug. So you guys need to just drop some questions in there in the Q&A, all right, so that we can select one of you to win this package. All right, this is not something you wanna miss. All right, we're gonna get that to you. So whatever questions you have, drop it in. We're happy to answer those for you. So guys, I wanna ask you both this, and feel free to take yourself off the mic and just interject. But about 20 plus years ago, let's say going into 30, all right, brands were encouraged to stick to vanilla or neutral brand statements and not really get involved in political discussions or cultural discussions. And as we know, we're here in the good year of 2021. That has changed dramatically. And even listening to you guys, you are successful because you are true to self. So how did you guys decide? How do you decide what you react to and what you don't react to? We know that there's been a pandemic, right? We know that there's other political things going on. So how do you guys, in terms of a brand, how do you determine what conversations you join, or how do you react to the turbulence that arises at times?
For us, as a Black woman-owned business based in Atlanta, so much of what happens in the world happens to me individually. So it's fake for me to go out and not respond to a lot of things. So like, for example, George Floyd was killed on May 25th last year, and my birthday was May 29th. So we're having this birthday party, and my mother is wearing her like Bombshell head wrap, but she's wearing her I Can't Breathe shirt that she had to dust off, from years ago when she had it. So it's like, for me, it just, when we talk about being true to who you are, for me, it has to be that. And so that was around when we started to come up with the All Are Welcome and the peace signs, because I wanted to make sure that everybody felt included. I think it's really unfair that fashion is so gendered. Because I have seen men wear our wrap skirts and look brilliant. And so I'm open to everybody, all the shades, all the gender identities, all of it. Right. And so for me, it was like, if I feel a problem that is affecting me, then I know others are feeling similarly about what they're up against. And so I just always, I don't mind speaking out about anything, you know, and that's just kind of because we've always been that way. People expect that from us, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm also in Atlanta where we recently had the Asian massage parlors, the assassinations there. And it's like, I drive past them on my way to work. So it affects me. And so when you're meeting me in my store, like I'm feeling this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our manager is an Asian American woman. Like we don't have space for that. So we're just very, very open about that. And we'll respond to, I mean, for us, there's no choice because things are in our path.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I know some people may have the fear of, well, you know, some folks are not going to agree with me, or I'm going to lose status, or I'm going to.
Those aren't the ones we want to wear our stuff anyway.
Right.
We're fine with that. I'm like, you can go. It means nothing to me.
Listen,
and we've gotten our fair share of the emails for sure. Last year when we had a Ruth Bader Ginsburg mask before she passed away. And it was basically like, look, y'all, COVID is real and we need Ruth to stay alive. So let's wear these Ruth masks just so that I want to be able to identify my tribe. And for sure, people told me what I should be caring about. I should care more about women in poverty and trade agreements and all that other stuff. But it goes back to the pink brand logo. You can't tell me what I am. And me caring about this one thing doesn't mean I don't care about this other thing. So, you know, we for sure gone to bat for all these things. But if anything, it just makes our true tribe double down on their support. So for every one customer you lose, I guarantee you will get 5 to 10 solid ones who are like
solid. I mean, because look, you're not Sam's Club. You ain't for everybody. Like we're just not for everybody. And the sooner those of you who are watching, the sooner you can get anchored and be okay with that you are not for everybody, you'll free yourself up to be more creative and really, like she said, tap into those new 5 to 10 folks that are just really riding for you. That's beautiful, Arshel. Thank you so much. Jess, you have anything you want to add to that?
I mean, again, +1 to everything Arshel said. I think 2 things. One is that we don't react, we lead. So we're never doing anything because it feels like, oh, everybody else is, so we should have our little thing. It's more like the things that our company believes in and cares about and is founded by are the things that lead us. And so because our company was founded by a group of women who have often been ostracized and experienced racism, sexism, homophobia because of their identities, and our team follows suit, like those things are the things that matter to us personally and professionally. So that's what we lead. That's what we lead with. And we've always been a company that is about making sure that we are always fighting for progress and equity. So not equality, equity. And also like the idea of like, you can't tell me, that is so true to our company too. It's like, we will be 100% rooted in our purpose and what grounds us. And there are folks that sometimes say like, why didn't you respond to this? Also, because we don't react or respond doesn't mean that we don't care. Like we are doing so much. In the last 2 years, we've raised $90,000 for BIPOC grassroots, women-led impact organizations. So we work with mostly Black women and mostly Black queer women in communities that are community leaders, and we're very driven to support those grassroots local causes, and be in solidarity with them. So like we also feel like it's not only about like what you do and what you say in this like banner, which I think you see a lot of corporations doing now, is like, it's Pride Month, so get out your Pride banner. But that is meaningless. Like really, it's more about what you do. And so that's so much of what we're rooted in. And then for me personally, my parents are like hippies who were working with were just social justice organizers, and they always raised me like, be ostracized. And I remember in high school, there was a lot of homophobia and all my friends were gay. And my parents were like, don't you dare hang out with kids that are homophobic. Like, be ostracized. Like, make sure that your friends are the people that you care about and fight for them. And who cares if that means you have 3 friends? Like, that doesn't matter. And so that's like kind of where I've always come from, is like, I'm just going to lead with my values. And I'm not really going to care about like socially what's convenient or what is acceptable. And that's what's led me to companies like Reinc.
Yeah. I think what's important to pull out of that is congruence. And really what that leads back to for me is that being clear on your values, you don't bend those, right? So congruency is everything. And I love that. I love that. One of the things I found that was really important, even in leading my audience, was during the pandemic, was to contribute to conversations that were progressive versus fear-based conversations. You want to get still and think to yourself, what conversation do I want to contribute to? And as an industry leader, I may not be at 50 mil yet. I may not be at 100K yet for the year, but you still want to position yourself as the leader. So just think about what conversations can I contribute to that are going to, be more progressive. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And I really love both of your responses on that. And guys, so we're actually going to, we're going to wrap this up, because it sounds like we could go on and on and on and be into tomorrow. But I know everybody has major moves and things to make and companies to run, families to raise. So this question is for both of you. What advice have you received that you ignored, that you are so glad that you did when it came down to building your brand?
Ooh, I'll tell you something that just happened. The summary, I'm gonna start with the summary, is some people's thoughts are too small to even have conversations with you. And I'll tell you, because I came to America in February last year for an award ceremony, was planning on going back to Liberia. COVID hit and Liberia closed the airport because, we've done health crises before. So they closed the airport. So I basically got stuck, right? But I had written on my vision board at the beginning of last year, I want to sell at Ponce City Market, right? This is a destination in Atlanta. I felt the vibe. I knew that my brand would be translated here. I knew it was a high traffic enough area that somebody like me who did not have a ton of followers, but had a really great product and still was able to afford to expand. I knew that I belonged in Ponce City Market. So I had a meeting with somebody, a public official or somebody who was well-known in Atlanta. And I was like, hey, I'm interested in selling in Ponce City Market. Do you know anybody there? Is there any conversations you could start for me? Like, how can we do this, right? And he just kept coming back to me with very limited believing answers. Why there? Why not in this predominantly Black neighborhood? This is not, you just got here. Maybe you should go this way, or maybe you should continue to focus on online, or maybe you could. And I knew what I wanted. And he just kept responding with such limited ideas for what he felt like I should be excited about. And so 6 months later, when I opened my own store in Ponce City Market, it was like, and he came and he was a customer. But a lot of people just think too small to be having conversations with you. They really do. And you have to kind of remember that too, because for me, it was all the advice was all these other ways to skin the cat and very roundabout. And for me, because I knew myself and I knew what I wanted, I knew what I was capable of, I was like, well, we're just going to keep going towards this goal. If he's not the person who's going to make the connections for me, I'm going to find somebody else who can make the connection for me. So that's just the thing. Remember that when you got something on your mind and heart, while it's nice to listen to advice, some people are just too small to talk to.
For real. That if y'all, that's the word of the day. That's it. That's a good one, for real. Thank you so much, Arshel. Jess, any advice that you're glad that you ignored, just real quick before we head out?
Yeah, I was going to say, Beatrice should go. Sadly, it looks like it's still not working. Oh man, I think I've been about ignoring that small advice my entire life, and really kind of maybe not ignoring it, but listening to it and then deciding what I want to do with it. And usually, what I want to do with it is believe that whatever I can do is more than that. But I think something. Trying to think of something recently had happened. I honestly can't really think of anything because right now we're just in company with just such incredible people that are all about everything we're talking about and are always aspiring for more.
Well, what about this? What's one thing that you want the people here watching to do this week? Anything, any action item that you think would be beneficial for them to dive into to do this week?
Yeah, I'll give something really specific, which is I am such a big believer in self-belief. So when you believe in yourself and your idea, the universe will make it happen. And so what I would say is get out a piece of paper, write down exactly what that idea is, and put it somewhere that is meaningful to you. So it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be somewhere where you see it every day, but it could be in a top drawer. And that sounds so trite and something that, I mean, I think you hear again and again. But what I have found is every single time I write something down and commit it to myself, it does truly happen. And it might not happen in exactly the way I thought it did. It would, but it happens. So today, write down what that thing is and commit it to yourself and ask the universe to commit it to you.
100. I love that. I love that. Yeah, this is something I personally wouldn't skip past. So guys, definitely. Arshel, anything you want to, instruct the people watching today to do this week?
Yeah, as I was scrolling through the conversation, I feel like there's people who are like, I'm taking my time to launch. I'm glad I'm doing this. I think that, to be honest, you really should just launch and continue to just like make new iterations. Because first of all, if this is something that you're just now launching, you don't really know your client well enough to say, this is exactly what I want to do, and I'm going to stick to this. Like, I know that my brand is a true reflection of me, so we're never going to venture very far from who I am. But at the same time, me getting out there, getting customers, learning what they need, being able to use that in my cycle as I like continue to like grow and expand is what has helped me to create the brand that of my dreams. You know what I mean? So perfection is a nice word for procrastination. So if you're waiting until you're perfect, like you're actually not doing anything. And it's like, at what point does scheduling and putting all this stuff in a schedule just get in the way of you actually doing the work? So really just get out there. I say start small, start with one product, figure out what people want about that. And then the next one will be another product. And, you'll continue to clarify your voice as you go along, but just for sure start. So a lot of like, I'm interested in, I see it in the chat. I'm interested in, and it's like, okay, so do it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of space between you doing something, like starting it, and actually growing it to like a full company that is like a competitive company that could outlive you and could support your kids. So the longer you take to get started, like, the more time you're wasting in that regard.
It's like investing, because I think so much of what you're saying is like, the younger you invest, the more return you're going to have. And this is an investment in yourself and an investment in your purpose. And so I really do think that like somebody else, like there's a million ideas, and yet other people are going to be thinking about it. Oh, there's B.
So I am fucking relentless, and I never give up.
This is a prime example of that right now.
Ever.
Yo, it's so good.
I just can't let it. It's hard for me. It's not even an ego thing. It's hard for me to let something defeat me that I know I can figure out. And so,
wow, man.
Want to hear for us, B? Because we all been waiting to hear from you, girl.
For real.
6 minutes left.
6 minutes on the clock, man. Okay, so I tried to hold you down with the story, right? I did my best. But is there anything that you would, instruct anybody out here watching today to do this week that'll push them forward?
Oh, I think if there was something to instruct humans to do to push them forward, it would be to get out of your mind and get into your body. And and figure out where you are in your life, where you are in your soul, where you are in your happiness, where you are with how you feel about your body, where you are with yourself. To me, that's paramount over everything. And and it's so paramount because wherever you are, it affects every fucking thing that you do. Everything. Mm-hmm. Right? If you're going to be in business, if you're not happy, if you're not well, if you're not kind, if you're not humble, if you constantly live in your ego, you're not going to run your business well because you're not going to treat people well, right? Because you're not treating yourself well, right? So I would say, that with whatever you decide to do this week, check in with yourself and see where you are, and understand that no matter where you are, that every moment can literally be a new one. And that you can decide, even if you feel like your depression is the worst that it could possibly be, or your anxiousness is the worst that it could possibly be, understand that you have the opportunity to make a decision to say, you know what, it's not. And that takes work, right? Like that takes thinking well, that takes reading, that takes studying, that takes eating well, that takes understanding what's happening with your hormones. Because a lot of times people think that they're depressed, but really they have a hormone. Their hormones are all over the place, right? And so this is how I live my life, because I've been there. I've been unhappy. I've been, and this is the path that I took, but I would say to check in with yourself, because it's really, 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 really important for no matter what it is that you're trying to do.
Wow. Yeah. It's almost like, where do we even go from? That is just what it is. Everything around you, what that says to me is everything around you is a reflection of you. If that's, if I got that right. So it's really important to pour into self so that the things that you build.
Everything around you is important. Yes.
Yeah.
If your house is a mess, clean that shit up, right? Because if you're living in disorder, if you're physically living in disorder, you are living in disorder inside your body, right? If you don't like what you look like when you look in the mirror, figure out what you're going to do that. Don't keep telling yourself you don't look right and that you're ugly and that you're fat. To me, there is no such thing, right? You have to, and then the other thing, which is something that I learned from James Baldwin, understand that you are going through the same shit that everybody else is going through. And that thing can connect us to everybody. And so, give yourself grace and be kind to yourself. And if there's anything I would say, it would be to do that this week.
That's perfect. Guys, I want to say thank you to each of you, B, Jess, Arshel, for just sharing yourselves with us today. That's so important. And I know that everybody who's listening and watching you, they're impacted by you, and your impact will live on through them and the decisions that they make moving forward. So I want to say thank you for them, but also myself.